Hello friends, today I am going to reveal some true facts of Russia. But first of all, I request you to please share and subscribe my channel for getting my informative true facts videos uninterrupted. Now Russia. Facts. With a land area of 6.5 million square miles, Russia is the largest country in the world. Population estimates 148 million people. Russia is one of the most sparsely populated countries in the world. The population is predominantly urban. Russia is so large that the climate varies greatly throughout the country. Russia has 11 time zones. Location of Russia. Russia is bounded by the Arctic and Pacific Oceans. Ural Mountains divide Eurasian continent and Russia to Europe and Asia. 78% lies west of Urals. It has boundary with 13 countries. Weather. Central Russia has a continental climate. Summers are hot and short, while the winters are cold and long. A Russian winter is famous for its frigid temperatures. Much of Russia is covered by snow 6 months of year. It has to be lived through. The really appreciated winter starts in October and continues through March. It continues through March. November, January are the darkest months. Interesting facts. Russia's most southern port, Novorossiysk, is on the same latitude as Minneapolis. A brief history. I am going to give a brief history. 862, founding of Kievan Rus by Viking Rurik, the birth of what became the Russian states. Mid-13th century, Mongol horde invasion. 1480, Moscow liberated from Tatar, that is Mongol yoke. 1613, Rurik dynasty ended. Romanov dynasty begins. Ends in 1917. 1812, Napoleon failed in his attempt to conquer Russia after occupying Moscow. October 1917, Bolsheviks seized control, led by Lenin. In 1922, USSR established. 1941 to 1945, World War II, Great Patriotic War. Russia loses 1/6 of its population. The Stalin's purge, an additional 20 to 40 million populations affected. 1985, Gorbachev introduced the political and economical reforms. In 1991, USSR is formally dissolved. Yeltsin becomes the new president. CIS is formed. In 2000, Putin is elected president of Russia. Brief history. Kazan. Kazan is the capital of a republic that occupies the area between the Volga and the Ural Mountains. Kazan is the capital of a republic that occupies the area between the Volga and the Ural Mountains. I am going to repeat some main points for a better remembrance. The recent findings showed that Kazan is no younger than 1000 years old. The population of Kazan is 1.2 million. 50% are Russian Orthodox, 50% are Muslims. Major geographic qualities. It has immense territorial stage, northernmost large and populous country in the world. Russia, a former world colonial power. Russia is a comparatively small, 150 million, and concentrated population, concentrated development, multicultural state, and minimal ports. Latitudinal extent. Northernmost point, Rudolph Island in France, Joseph and Land, 82 degrees. Northernmost point, Rudolph Island in France, Joseph and Land, 82 degrees. Southernmost point, Grozny in west and Vladivostok in east, 44 degrees. Monmouth is 44.7727 degrees north. Longitudinal extent. More than twice its maximum north-south extent and extends through 11 times zone. Russia makes up 76.6% of the total territory of the former USSR. early 16th century, Ivan the Terrible, 1547 to 1584. End of the 17th century, Peter the Great, 1682 to 1725. It was the growth of Russian Empire. Climatology. Climate. Average weather conditions for a given area over an extended period of time. Weather refers to the atmospheric conditions at a specific place and time. Climatology, a branch of physical geography concerned with a spatial arrangement on climate over the surface of the earth, processes which contribute to the distribution. Russian climates, affected by three natural conditions: latitudinal position, continental position, and location of major mountains. Vegetation of Russia: equatorial and tropical zone rainforest, monsoon forest, savanna woodland, thorn tree, tall grass savanna, subtropical evergreen forest, cold needle leaf forest and coastal forest, sclerophyll vegetation, tall grass prime, short grass plain, semi-desert, desert shrubs and deserts, Arctic and alpine tundra, ice sheet, vegetation, tundra, treeless plain along the Arctic, most of the lichen grasses, taiga, coniferous forest south of the tundra extending over Siberia, that is sleeping land, steppe, like or prairie, semi-arid grassland with short grasses that are found in dry areas that have hot summers and cold winters. Steppe, like or prairie, semi-arid grassland with short grasses that are found in dry areas that have hot summers and cold winters. Climate as a restrictive element. Agriculture, short growing seasons, drought prone, erosion accelerated by snowmelt, and settlement patterns and transportation on industry. High energy consumption, specialized equipment and facilities, and extractives, permafrost, spring and fall mud, special equipment and facilities. Physiographic regions, Russian plain, eastward continuation of North European lowland, cold area, Moscow basin, and Ural mountains, 2000 miles long, north-south, and yield a variety of minerals. West Siberian plain, world's largest unbroken lowlands and permafrost. Central Siberian plate is sparsely populated. Central Siberian plate is sparsely populated. Temperature extremes, permafrost. Yakutsk basin, mountainous high relief. Eastern highlands, ranges, precipitous valleys, volcanic mountains, and Lake Baikal. Central Asian range, raised above the snow line, glaciated, and the Caucasus mountains, that is extensions of the Alpines. Caucasus mountains, an extension of the Alpines. The Ural mountains. The north-south length covers 2,500 kilometers. The highest point are in the northern Urals, 2,000 meters in places. The central Urals are the lowest sections and include several key crossing places. The southern Urals are wider and consist of a number of parallel north-south ridges and intervening valleys. Ural forest and minerals have been the basis for industrializations and boast at least 20 different commercially usable minerals. West Siberian plain, the world's largest unbroken lowland. World's largest unbroken lowland is West Siberian plain, includes the Ob and Itis river basin, permafrost. Major cities Omsk, Novosibirsk. Central Siberian plate, sparsely settled, inaccessible, restrictive climate, permafrost, and natural resources. And now, heartland theory. Who rules East Europe command the heartland. Who rules the heartland commands the world's island. Who rules the world island commands the world. I will define this. Now, political framework. Soviet legacy. Revolution is 1905 to 1917. Bolsheviks majority and versus Mensheviks minority. The Red Army versus the White Army. V.I. Lenin, full form Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, capital Petrograd to Moscow in 1918. Shifted capital from Petrograd to Moscow in 1918. It is important for competitive examinations. Federation, federal structure, USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, 1924. SSRs, ASSRs, autonomous regions, Russifications. Now, command economy. An economy in which the means of production are owned and controlled by the state, and in which central planning of the structure and the output varies, is called command economy. An economy in which the means of production are owned and controlled by the state, and in which the central planning of the structure and the output prevails. Features of the Soviet economy: production of particular manufactured goods or particular places, production of particular manufactured goods to particular places, economic interdependence of the republics. Economic framework: centrally planned early 1920s, major objectives: speed industrializations and collectivized agriculture. Now, brief of Soviet leaders: Tsarism up to 1917, then Lenin, Stalin, Khrushchev, Brezhnev, and Gorbachev. Lenin, 1918 to 1927, introduced Marxist philosophy, replaced the private with public ownership, developed national economic plans, established the Soviet political structure based on ethnic identities. Stalin, 1927 to 1953, all assets nationalized, creation of a huge centralized state machine over all aspects of Soviet life, purchase of dissidents, 30 to 60 million, collectivized farming, Sovkhoz, concentration on heavy industry at the expense of agriculture. Khrushchev, 1953 to 1964, greater emphasis on agriculture, virgin lands program, pastures into irrigated wheat fields, ultimately led to RLC environmental disaster. Brezhnev, 1964 to 1982, height of the Cold War at that time, military industrial economy, economic stagnation, agriculture. Gorbachev, 1985 to 1991, initiated economic and political reform, perestroika, restructuring, intended to produce major change to both the economic and political system. Economic aim, to catch up with Western economies. Political aim, reform the Communist Party. Glasnost, policy of encouraging greater openness in both internal and external affairs. Collapse of the Soviet Union, conditions in 1990 and 1991. A sharp decline in agricultural and industrial production. Economic output down by 4% in 1992, 10 to 15% in first half of 1991. Intensification of ethno-cultural nationalism and separatism. Unity of the Soviet Union, macro, and unity of republics, micro, threatened. The emergence of the Commonwealth of Slavic countries to replace the Soviet Union. Commonwealth of Independent States. The resignation of President Gorbachev. Russian Federation, now 89 political units. Religious groups, they are Orthodox about 55%, Muslims about 18%, Protestant 10%, Roman Catholic 7%, Jewish 5% and others 5%. Transportation, Trans-Siberian Railroad, Baltic to Pacific, Trans-Siberian Railroad, Baltic to Pacific, Bakur-Amur line, Bakur-Amur line, BAM railway links Central Siberian Russia with the Pacific. The BAM parallels the Trans-Siberian railways but passes north rather than south of the Lake Baikal. It is 1,928 miles, about 3,102 kilometers long, with 1,987 bridges. Its eastern terminus is Sovetskaya Gavin on the Tatar Strait. Inland waterways, underused diplomatic flow and orientation. Inland waterways is underused. Marine links, Baltic, Black and Caspian, Far East and Northern Sea. And now, Russian economy. First of all, I want to Siberia, larger than the continental us, but less than 15 million people. Siberia is larger than the continental United States, but less than 15 million people. Challenging environment, vast distances, cold temperatures, Arctic winds, poor soils, resource potential, precious minerals, metallic ores, oil and natural gas, and timber. Now, natural resource contribution, natural resource distribution. Russia's external challenge, natural resources distribution. Many natural resources now in former Soviet republics. Irredentism, concerns of Russia outside its border, national pride, determination to remain the champions of Slavic interests, desire to remain a power in the international community, centrifugal forces, separatist aims in the Caucasian periphery, Russia's prospects, economic, industrial resources, transportation infrastructure, manufacturing capacity, political, internal and external challenge. In my next video, I will give some details about the Russian economy. Thanks.